Well, it changed because politicians in general, with some exceptions, but not many, have no principles at all. And they respond just to one stimulus, which is election. That's it. And if they think something will get them reelected, they'll say it. And if they don't, they won't.
I am about to reveal something that will completely blow your mind. So pay attention because I am about to blow the whistle on it. An explosive revelation has been made by the controversial political pundit Tucker Carlson, who is the host of Tucker Carlson Tonight on Fox News. This is generating a lot of buzz on the internet. Imagine for a moment that an unnamed source disclosed the underlying LGBT issues that the Obama administration is facing. The information that you got was, in fact, correct. Oh, you must be kidding me. The fact that this is more than just a rumor means that you should probably believe it. In light of the recent uproar that has occurred on the internet regarding the topic, one might wonder, where exactly is the fire? Is it possible that historical accounts have left out certain facts that have not been known to the public? In this particular moment, why is Tucker Carlson bringing it up? What is the reason behind his decision? Well, what exactly was it that Tucker Carlson was saying? Okay, let's take a quick look at the past at this moment. Over the course of several decades, Tucker Carlson has been at the forefront of the conservative news movement. As he transitioned from print journalism to television, he worked for CNN and MSNBC before finally establishing himself at Fox News. He continued his career in television journalism. It was as the host of Tucker Carlson Tonight that he rose to prominence and became one of the most influential and divisive personalities in American media. He is known for his populist speech, his incisive criticisms, and his willingness to confront both political elites and mainstream narratives. However, Carlson's tenure at Fox News came to an abrupt end in the year 2023. Despite the fact that no one knows for certain why he left, he did not let that influence him. Instead, he decided to leave Twitter, which is now known as X, and launch his own program, which allows him to freely express himself without interference from the company. In the second episode, he continued to criticize President Obama. Cling to Your Taboos was the name of his show, which investigated the process by which moral standards in society have developed over time. He began by providing some background information, discussing the ways in which the media has influenced public opinion as well as other political scandals, such as the infamous affair that Bill Clinton was involved in. But Obama became the center of attention. It was at that point that things became heated. However, if you thought that this could be considered the conclusion of the speculation, you would be wrong. It is not always the case that whispers or casual remarks serve as the source of the most illuminating indications. It is possible that his own remarks will turn out to be the most interesting aspect of Obama's story up to this point. David Garrow, a biographer who won the Pulitzer Prize, has disclosed a number of fascinating facts about Barack Obama's background. During his time as a student at Occidental College in Los Angeles in 1982, Garrow discovered letters that Barack Obama had written to Alex McNair, who was his girlfriend at the time. By means of these letters, President Obama opens up about his personal struggles with his sexuality. During the course of one of these letters, President Obama discloses his sexual orientation by stating, repeatedly fantasizes about making love to men, but only in the imagination. This passage suggests that even though President Obama had these desires, they were confined to his imagination. In his early 20s, he embarked on a more extensive investigation of self-awareness and identity, and these musings are a part of that investigation. Due to the fact that Emory University maintains a private collection of these letters, the full text of these letters is not accessible to the general public. They are only accessible to users who have been granted permission to do so, and their availability is restricted. Because they are only available in limited quantities, their entire contents have generated a great deal of curiosity and conjecture. As a consequence of the revelations made by Garrow, people are once again discussing Obama's history and the manner in which the media either covered it or ignored it. Even though there are a lot of people who believe that these particulars shed light on Obama's early years, there are also some people who believe that they are too personal to warrant public investigation. Dealing with this data requires a great deal of nuance and discretion. There is no way to determine a person's sexual orientation based on how they creatively explore issues related to their sexuality. It would appear that Obama's musings are actually a part of his larger journey of self-discovery, which is a process that a lot of people go through when they are entering their teenage years. To summarize, the question of whether or not Barack Obama is gay is still unanswered in these letters, which do reveal some of the introspective perspectives he held during his time as a college student. In spite of this, they are a component of the complex web of occurrences that shaped the individual into the 44th President of the United States of America. At the precise moment when you were beginning to feel that the speculation was getting out of hand, the internet suddenly makes a dramatic U-turn. To answer your question, yes, Michelle Obama, the wife of Barack Obama, has also been caught up in the conspiracy theory frenzy. One thing I can guarantee is that you have never heard of this before. But please wait just a moment. This is the point at which things begin to go to hell. Almost every person who uses the internet and is worth their salt has probably come across the conspiracy theory that asserts Michelle Obama is actually a male candidate. I know that it sounds completely insane. Let me explain this further. As evidence for this notion to circulate for years, people have been referring to Michelle's body, her facial structure, and even an old film in which Barack allegedly names her Michael by accident. All of these things have been included in the discussion. Michael and I would also like to express our gratitude to your son, Jack. As Obama addresses the soldiers in one of the videos, the phrase "falls out of his mouth" is captured. Quite possibly, yes. Perhaps there was more to it than that. Finally, there is the remark that Joan Rivers made, which has since become famous. Rivers casually stated to a reporter that it is common knowledge that Michelle is a dictator. Despite the fact that many people mistook it for one of her typical shock jokes, it was actually delivered right before she passed away unexpectedly. Those who are inclined to believe in conspiracies, on the other hand, argue that Rivers might have been revealing a reality that was not being discussed. There are those who believe that Michelle's proportions are more masculine than feminine. This is due to the fact that she is tall, has hands and shoulders, and has extensive connections in both the entertainment industry and the political arena. In addition, there are those who believe that photographs of Michelle's childhood have been altered or removed in order to conceal the truth. However, those who are skeptical of this hypothesis point out that women, in particular, who engage in regular physical activity, have a tendency to have bodies that are more defined. All of this could be a well-planned hoax, or it could be that she was correct the whole time. In order to add fuel to the fire, it has been suggested that Barack Obama's early and public support for LGBT rights may have deeper personal connections. Is there any significance to it, however? In the same way that the majority of conspiracy theories are based on speculation and interpretation, this particular matter is primarily a matter of interpretation. When all is said and done, this hypothesis is still nothing more than a theory. Many people continue to examine each and every image, video, and typo in an effort to find clues, despite the fact that there is no evidence to support their claims. In spite of this, Michelle was not the only person who was the subject of the rumors and suspicions. They bypassed the intermediary altogether and went straight to Barack. There was a magazine cover that caused those rumblings to develop into a full-blown controversy in the year 2012. In the very instant that you are convinced that you have heard everything, another piece of information comes to light. An article with the headline, "The First Gay President," was featured on the cover of Newsweek in the year in question. The title was intended to be interpreted symbolically, referring to Obama's strong advocacy for LGBTQ rights, despite the fact that it was met with widespread criticism due to its title. Democrats were, to put it mildly, not pleased with the situation. In spite of the fact that it was a contentious and potentially risky political decision, President Obama had just endorsed marriage between people of the same gender. Andrew Sullivan, a writer who is openly gay, praised Barack Obama for his work on LGBTQ rights. He drew a comparison to Bill Clinton's status as the first black president due to Toni Morrison's perception of his connection to black American issues. Sullivan's piece was written by Andrew Sullivan. On the other hand, individuals who hold the belief that conspiracies are true made extensive use of such expressions. As a result of their misunderstanding of its metaphorical meaning, they interpreted it as evidence of Obama's top-secret private life. This brought up earlier allegations, such as those made by Larry Sinclair, who stated in 2008 that he and Barack Obama had engaged in sexual relations and drug use in the late 1990s. This brought up earlier allegations. Despite the widespread condemnation of Sinclair's allegations, particularly in light of his failure to pass the polygraph and his history of lying, his story continued to be used by those on the far right to portray Obama. Another piece of evidence is an article that was published in the New York Times in 2009. This article portrays the administration of Barack Obama as a boys' club, due to the fact that only a few male staff members are in charge of making decisions. A number of individuals have interpreted this as additional proof that President Obama had an abnormally close relationship with certain men, such as Reggie Love, who was his former bodyguard. Love, who served as Obama's personal assistant, was frequently seen with the president, which stimulated rumors of a romantic relationship between the two. Love, on the other hand, has clarified his position regarding the allegations, stating that his relationship with Obama was entirely professional and founded on devotion. In addition to this, conspiracy theorists have investigated the friendships and behaviors of President Obama in search of indications that he is hiding his existence. Others have cited letters from his past in which he allegedly fantasized about guys, despite the fact that these were his own thoughts from his childhood, which were exaggerated and taken out of context. A theory that is based on a statement made by the late comedian Joan Rivers in 2014, in which she joked about Obama being homosexual and Michelle being transsexual, has been brought up by some people. This theory is known as the Joan Rivers theory. In spite of the fact that Rivers, who is well known for her shock comedy, made the comment in a casual manner, conspiracy theorists interpreted it as a confession and proceeded to run with it. Despite the fact that he has never directly addressed these allegations, President Obama's support for LGBTQ rights has become even stronger since he announced his resignation from office. Regardless of whether these conspiracies originate from genuine beliefs or are employed as political weapons, nevertheless, they provide an intriguing glimpse into the ways in which public perception can be influenced not by facts, but by conjecture. At the end of the day, speculations are limited to nothing more than that, at least until someone who has a significant number of followers decides to investigate it further. The outcome was, in fact, the result. Even more than that, one of the most outspoken conservatives in the media is certain that there must be more to the story than what is initially apparent. It is not my intention to sway your points of view by virtue of my presence here. However, I am here to present the particulars of the situation. Tucker Carlson, who is considered to be one of the most outspoken conservative media figures, is of the opinion that Barack Obama's personal life is not as it seemingly is. His statements have given the impression that the narrative that is currently being presented is only the beginning, and that the mainstream media is ignoring the true story. Additionally, there is David Garrow, a historian who was awarded the Pulitzer Prize and who spent a considerable amount of time researching Barack Obama's history. During the course of an interview, he made the shocking claim that at one point in time, President Obama had written letters consisting of fantasies about men. Nevertheless, these were not statements that were made in public. These are the deepest thoughts and emotions that he has ever expressed, and they were written in private letters to a lover from his younger years. There was no guarantee that they were representative of his behavior. On the other hand, these letters are kept in a safe location. They continue to be concealed from view. An issue that arises is the reason why these facts are being concealed, taking into consideration the fact that the only information we have comes from reports that were obtained through second-hand sources. Subsequently, there is Michelle Obama to consider. Over the course of several years, internet conspiracy theories concerning her gender have been fueled by grainy photos, video that is taken out of context, and murmurs from certain areas of the internet. Are you referring to the assertion? In her own words, Michelle Obama is a transgender person. How much evidence is there? In all honesty, it is a matter of opinion. It has been reported that Joan Rivers made light of the situation in the weeks leading up to her untimely death following routine surgery, as evidenced by archival video. She has been compared to previous First Ladies due to her tall and athletic frame, which has been brought to the attention of others. So, let's not sugarcoat this. Despite the fact that these allegations have never been backed up by evidence, the majority of people consider them to be politically motivated assaults on the legacy of President Obama. On the other hand, this is a peculiar occurrence. From the moment that this matter is brought up, prompt action is always taken. It has been stated by the well-known historian Garrow that journalists have purposefully avoided covering certain aspects of Obama's background out of fear of reaction, and fact-checkers are eager to label conversations like these as providing false information. During this time, social media websites are shutting them down. As a result of that, people begin to concern themselves, wondering what else they are concealing from us. As a result of everything that has happened, is there a dark secret that is being kept hidden? Perhaps, but it's also possible that not. There is a possibility that Barack Obama was merely a young thinker who was experimenting with writing down his thoughts in his letters. Perhaps all of the allegations that have been made against Michelle Obama are nothing more than rumors, and that she is simply a powerful and self-assured woman. On the other hand, it is possible that there is more to this story than what has been made available to us, mainly due to the fact that if there is one thing that we can take away from the past, It is that you should speak up about the things that powerful people are trying to keep quiet about. Would you say that there is a more sinister plotline that is just waiting to be revealed here? Is it possible that we are witnessing the same old thing repeated over and over again? Remember that rumors about the private lives of other leaders, in addition to those pertaining to Obama, have been circulating for a considerable amount of time. Not only that, but he won't be the only one. I am well aware of how contentious the administration of Barack Obama is. Having said that, we are obligated to acknowledge that this is not a novel idea. In the course of history, rumors and scandals similar to this one have had the effect of shaking up the political sphere. Every single person, from the president to the heads of the FBI to famous people from the past, has been the subject of rumors and accusations concerning their personal lives from time to time. You could say that they were correct to a certain extent. Is there anyone else? For political purposes, they are just as useful as tools. Take into consideration J.A. Hoover, Edgar. In spite of the fact that he served as the head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation for nearly half a century, his personal life continued to be shrouded in mystery rather than any wrongdoing on his part. Over the course of several decades, his exceptionally close relationship with Clyde Tolson, who served as his second-in-command, was a subject of speculation. Vacations, dining out, and traveling were all activities that they did together as a couple. As of what date did Hoover pass away? Tolson was the sole beneficiary of his estate. Do you consider yourself to be more than just friends for life? That particular facet of history has not been resolved even to this day. A further illustration is that of Abraham Lincoln. You're right, that Lincoln. Before he was elected president, he and his closest friend Joshua Speed shared sleeping quarters for a considerable amount of time. In the 1800s, was this a common type of behavior? To put it succinctly, yes. Most of the time, men were forced to sleep on makeshift bunks because of the high cost of housing. This was merely a romantic relationship? On the other hand, was there something more substantial? In recent decades, historians have been looking at the past with new eyes, which has led to the emergence of this question. Even though the stories have been passed down through Lincoln's legacy for more than a century, we still do not have any proof to support them. Also, let's not overlook the fact that Bill Clinton was in office, shall we? In contrast to Hoover's and Lincoln's scandals, his scandals were front-page news during his presidency. It was his affair with Monica Lewinsky that was responsible for one of the most significant political storms in the history of the United States. It wasn't the first time a president was involved in a sexual scandal, nor was it the last time this had happened. Let's not mince words. Since the beginning of time, politicians have been using the private lives of individuals as a weapon, sometimes for justifiable reasons, and other times to bring down particular figures. The question is, why are these stories being told over and over again? Not a question. It is possible to undermine public confidence by using any sexual scandal, regardless of whether it is real or only imagined. They are able to sow confusion, change narratives, and swiftly elevate a respected leader to the status of a national parody within a short amount of time. When power is involved, nothing stays private for an extended period of time, whether it be sexually explicit whispers or bombshell accusations of an affair having taken place. And we have to acknowledge that Tucker Carlson is a very capable individual. There is careful and deliberate planning behind everything, from the delivery to the time to the disagreement. At this very moment, however, why is that? How come this shocking information should be disclosed at this moment? By examining his previous performances, it is clear that this is not his first time doing something like this. A significant portion of Carlson's reputation is predicated on his assertion that he will expose stories that are ignored by the mainstream media. This is routine behavior for him. The internet goes absolutely crazy after he makes a contentious allegation, and he watches as the level of engagement between people increases. To tell you the truth, participation is essential. It is proportional to the number of responses and shares that his platform receives that its usefulness and utility increase. As a result of his independence and the fact that he is no longer a member of the influential Fox News network, he has a greater incentive to strive for shock value. Think about the fact that his enormous fan base existed even before he started working for Fox. Nevertheless, he is currently running his own platform on his own without any assistance. The narrative is entirely under his control at this point. Agendas are determined by him. The most important thing is that he makes money from each and every one of those clicks, views, and viral moments. In addition, promoting a piece of news that is so absurd and divisive that it forces people to pick a side is sure to keep people talking about it. Here, there was no mistake made. My term for it is a playbook. Carlson thrives not only in the role of the outsider, but also in the role of the truth teller and the person who has the courage to speak what others are unwilling to say. The question of whether or not people trust him is practically irrelevant at this point. From Tucker Carlson's perspective, controversy is money, and he is able to make it rain with his arguments. When news of this nature is reported, it becomes abundantly clear that social media is more than just a platform. A driving force is what it is. Additionally, if we do not exercise caution, this could result in a shift in both our politics and our values. Are you ever wondering what it is that makes conspiracy theories so appealing to you? Rather than focusing solely on the theories themselves, the most important thing to consider is how our brains actually work. All humans, according to the findings of research, are susceptible to a phenomenon known as confirmation bias. We are more likely to seek out evidence that supports our existing beliefs, while at the same time we tend to minimize or ignore evidence that challenges those beliefs. This bias manifests itself in the way that we are more likely to do so. Consider the feed you have on Instagram. Are you of the opinion that you have a tendency to value things that are in accordance with your beliefs? There is an example of confirmation bias in action here. One gets the impression that we are constructing our very own world. Currently, this is something that is amplified by social media websites, which provide us with additional content that is comparable to what we have interacted with in the past. The feedback loop is a nightmare, to paraphrase what Mark Manson said about it. In addition, let's be honest, when the algorithm simply continues to provide us with more of the same, it is simple to get lost in the rabbit hole. When this happens, things start to get more complicated. Through the use of social media, truths, partial truths, and outright lies are all amplified to a greater extent. Just a few minutes are all that is required for a shocking post to become widely shared on the internet. Confirmation bias is a problem that arises when we are presented with information that does not support our worldview, because it causes us to believe and spread false information less frequently. Isn't that the most tragic thing to happen? What are your thoughts in this particular scenario? Is there something fishy going on? Or is everyone just making something up with their own words? Please share your thoughts with me by leaving a comment below. This is something that I would like to hear your opinion on. I will run into you once more in the following video. You are appreciated for watching. Transcribing was done by turboscribe.ai. In order to delete this message, go to Unlimited.